What's up, Duelists? I'm Ashton, also known as SmashtonYGO, and welcome to a Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel update video. If we go ahead and load up Master Duel right now, we will see very clearly that there is some new stuff in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel shop that we're going to want to take a look at. As we can see here, if we go into the shop, there is a new selection pack called Dreaded Conspiracy. What I want to do in this video is give you guys my top 3 best decks to come out of Dreaded Conspiracy. There are a lot to pick from Generator to Magic Key to Trap Tricks, Labrynth, Dark World. All sorts of different decks got upgrades from this selection pack, but I want to give you guys the top best of the best coming out of this selection pack so you know what to build and so you know what to look out for in the Master Duel ranked ladder. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and get started with my number 3 pick, and that is going to be Dark World. The Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG received the Dark World structure deck all the way back in December of 2022. So if we're looking at this selection pack in terms of the TCG counterpart or even the OCG counterpart, we can see that some of these cards are pretty old for where the paper card game is right now. That being said, the structure deck did give Dark World some incredible new support that is finally in Master Duel and takes the deck to the next level. The first card I am going to talk about is Grapha, Dragon Overlord of Dark World. Grapha is a fusion monster which is very easy to summon out with the new Dark World Accession fusion card that was also included in this selection pack. What Overlord does is essentially on a huge house of a body, he can once per turn change any of your opponent's monster effect or normal spell trap card effects into your opponent, aka you, discard 1 card. And if you know anything about Dark World, you know that discarding by card effect is something that will definitely benefit you, especially since that effect allows you to choose. So you essentially get to fizzle out one of your opponent's effects so that you can get yourself advantage. On top of that, if it leaves the field by an opponent's card effect, you can also just special summon the OG Grapha card from your graveyard or banish pile out onto the field to get another massive body onto the board. This card's incredible and is certainly going to be a part of almost every Dark World end board. Next up is Rainbow, Overking of Dark World. This is a great piece of support that was also included in that structure deck and is now in the selection pack, which allows itself to special summon from the graveyard by returning a level 7 or lower Dark World from field to the hand, which again allows you to recur your Dark World resources that are on the field so you can then discard them with more card effects and kind of just go off. Then if Rainbow is discarded by card effect, you know, the whole point of the deck, it can add any level 5 Dark World from deck to hand. That's not once per turn. Keep in mind the other Dark World cards also are not generally once per turn, so this literally gets you almost any Dark World that you really need that's not one of the big bodies. Next up, we have Genta, Gateman of Dark World. It just allows you to search the field spell for free, which is an incredibly powerful field spell once you slap it onto the board. And also, if it's banished, which is pretty easy for you to do as well, you can just special summon himself for free, and he's a level 4 body, so that's pretty nice. Lastly, Salamander Catalyzer, previously a TCG only card that is finally in Master Duel for OCG players to play around with. And while technically not a Dark World card, it is insane support for the strategy. You can reveal it and a Fiend monster in your hand, which all the Dark Worlds are Fiend monsters, in order to special summon one of them and then discard the others. So let's say you have a Genta already on field, you already banished it and then special summoned itself for free. You can go ahead and reveal Salamander Catalyzer, as well as something like maybe a Snow or a Rainbow, for example. Discard that Dark World, special summon Salamander Catalyzer, that gets you 2 level 4s on field so you can XZ summon, and then trigger the effect of that Dark World that you discarded to gain advantage. On top of that, it can even recycle itself from graveyard if any monster is destroyed by battle involving your Fiend monster. That can be your own cards or your opponent's cards as long as it's a Fiend monster. Now, Dark World isn't going to take Master Duel by storm by any means. However, I do think that it's probably, and why it's number 3 on the list is a little bit of bias because I think it's probably my favorite deck to come out of this selection pack. It's very high rolly, and the combo lines are basically whatever you have at the time. You really want to play this deck with a danger package, and so your discards, depending on what those dangers hit, can completely change how you build your board, and I honestly find it pretty fun. This deck can just play forever. It's really all gas. If you think that sounds fun, definitely pick this one up. it's really fun to play. Its biggest weakness, graveyard dependency. With tier limit still in the Master Duel format, as well as the bestials running around causing havoc, graveyard is definitely one of those kinds of mechanics that is kind of down in the dumps at the moment. So in the current meta, Dark World is kind of in the lower tier here because a lot of decks are just trying to counter tier, and Dark World gets hit by the same stuff, if just a little bit harder. So perhaps in the next meta, if tier finally gets out of the format, the bestials will still always be a threat, but a lot less of a threat if people aren't dropping Abyss Dwellers and things like that to stop it. And by the way, I will be doing a Dark World Master Duel deck video later on this week, so if you're interested in that at all, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get notified when that video drops. I'm very excited to make that and show you guys what Dark World is capable of. But next up, let's talk about the second deck on the list, and that is going to be Traptrix. Traptrix is well known for any Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG player who's gone to locals in the past year. It was an extremely budget deck because in February of this year, the Structure deck released. It even had staples like Ashen, and it was pretty insane. Just buying 3 of the Traptrix Structure decks for $30 will just give you an automatic competitive deck. And if you want to make it fully competitive, 50 or 60 bucks is really all you really needed. But now that new support is in Master Duel. So can one of the most popular budget decks from the TCG right now translate well into Master Duel? Well, let's start by talking about the first card you'll see in the selection pack, Traptrix Adipus. Adipus is an incredible Link 3 that gives all of your Traptrix monsters 1,000 attack, giving the deck some serious OTK potential. It can also help you clear boards by targeting monsters your opponent controls up to the number of insect or plant monsters you control, which are all of the Traptrix cards. Negate their effects, and then you can banish a normal trap from your graveyard, say any of your trap hole cards, and also destroy one of those cards on the field. So it's a board breaker in a sense, and it gives your cards a huge attack buff to OTK. Next up, we have Traptrix Pinguicula, another solid card which can help with the OTK potential because it's 2,500 base stat total, buffed up by 1,000 with Adipus makes it 35. Those two alone makes a huge house of a board. You only really need one more name, and you have Lethal. It can also be used as a combo piece by detaching one material to add a Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand. Next up, an awesome normal summon in Traptrix Pudica. It searches the field spell that is brand new to Master Duel as well, Trap Trip Garden. And on top of that, if it does get special summoned, then you can just banish an opponent's monster on the field. The only caveat to that is that during their next turn, they will be able to special summon any card from their banish pile. So you're going to have to be a little bit careful for that. But if you're going for a kill, it helps you break the board. Next, Trap Trip Garden, which Pudica will search, gives you an additional normal summon of a Traptrix monster, has battle protection as well, and allows you to banish one of your monsters on the field to special summon another Traptrix from hand or graveyard, which can be very good in a pinch. Lastly, let's talk about Traptrix Holutea, an essential opening combo piece. As long as you have any Traptrix monster, you can link it into Sarah, and then you can use Holutea by discarding one normal trap in your hand to go ahead and flip it up even the turn it was set, which will allow it to special summon itself out, make itself a level 4 Traptrix monster you can then play around with, and that will trigger Sarah's effect to special another Traptrix from your deck. So Holutea is an incredible combo piece that works perfectly well with Sarah to be able to get all of your Traptrix combos going and building your board. My biggest problem with this deck is twofold. Number one, they're all URs and SRs. This deck is incredibly expensive, and that's very counter to the deck originally, which was a very cheap budget option and still is. But in Master Duel, it is quite expensive. Number two is that it really wants to go first, and not just because it's a trap deck. There are trap decks out there like Eldritch, which can go do very well in Master Duel going first and second, and we have seen that. And Traptrix can, in a sense, especially with a long, grindier game. However, it really, more than any of the other trap decks that are in the meta, wants to go first more than any of those. That's fine in TCG, because side deck exists and you can play around with that. But in Master Duel, that makes it just a little bit harder. I think if you're going to play a trap-based deck, you are going to have to basically decide if you think Traptrix is just your thing, if you just really like its play style, or if you want to go for one of the more solid options that can go first or second more easily. And speaking of that solid option, let's talk about the number one deck from this selection pack, and that is going to be Labrynth. If you've been in the TCG for a while now, you already know Labrynth is one of the most competitive decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. Master Duel, OCG, TCG, it does not matter. Master Duel has had Labrynth for a while now, so you might be thinking, well, what really changed? Well, Master Duel's Labrynth was only a shell of itself, only really having access to Lovely and Welcome Labrynth. But now with this selection pack, we have access to Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle and Big Welcome. So, let's go ahead and go through both of them. Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle is perhaps the best Labrynth monster that they have printed in the entire deck. Lady is basically just a free special summon anytime a Labrynth card or effect or a normal trap card is activated, which is going to happen pretty much every turn. On top of this, it has innate protection from targeting and destruction by card effects while you have a set card. And that can be a set card on the field or a spell trap. It can be a monster too. Doesn't really matter. You're going to have a set card on the field either way. And then as a quick effect, if any normal trap is activated, you can set any normal trap from your deck to the field. This can get you some pretty crazy stuff like D-Barrier or Eradicator Epidemic Virus, which has been a huge point of contention and controversy in the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG right now. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of Labrynth decks out there in the Master Duel meta that will run some pretty cheeky floodgatey cards. Next up, we have the Big Welcome Labrynth. It's not only another way that you can special summon Labrynths from your deck, but also it bounces a card from the field to the hand, either your own, or if you control a high-level Fiend monster, you can bounce your opponent's cards, and once again, that will trigger some of your Labrynth furniture cards like Ku Klok and the like. These two cards are pretty much the only thing that Labrynth needed, and now it is basically at full power in Master Duel, and it is a force to be reckoned with. Yes, it's a trap deck. Yes, it would prefer to go first. However, Labrynth, more than any other trap deck, can go second very easily. It has an insane grind game, and honestly, they just put in a secret pack called the Trap in the Wicked Castle for this deck specifically. I think that tells you all you need to know about how Konami and Master Duel use this deck. It's one that they want people to go into because they know it's going to be powerful. They know it's going to be a top meta threat. If you're looking for a trap-based deck to get to the highest levels of the Master Duel rank ladder, this is going to be the one to get there. This one will shoot you straight up to Master 1 with just a little bit of luck and learning the deck and its skill set. This deck is going to be extremely scary going into this new season of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel's ladder, and I'm not going to lie, I'm not very looking forward to getting skill drained and de-barriered for my life savings with my Sword Soul deck, but hey, it's going to be a powerful deck. You guys should definitely watch out for it. And that's it, guys. Those are my top 3 best decks coming out of the Dreaded Conspiracy selection pack. Do you agree with my picks, or do you think another deck should have been on that list instead of Dark World or Trap Tricks? Let me know in the comment section below, and make sure that you hit the subscribe button and notification bell once again so that you get notified when I post that Dark World Master Duel deck video. This is a new type of video that I haven't done before, so make sure you let me know what you thought about it by hitting that like button so I know that you enjoyed this content and want to see more Master Duel update videos. There's a lot of cool stuff coming to Master Duel. The cards will always be coming out, so there's always material for this if you enjoyed it. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a thing or two about the new decks coming into Master Duel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.